Hello everybody, welcome to Kimbweta session. This is Richard. Today we're going to learn the second part of system analysis and design, that is called requirements determination. As we previously talked about planning phase, now we are in analysis phase, because when we are talking about requirements, we eventually come to analysis phase. And as I told you, that analysis phase is based on who, where, and when we shall use the system, or what are the requirements of the system. And basically, analysis phase here, we just talk about analyzing the project in details. We just take a part of the project and then we analyze it in details, and we come to another part. So it's based on analyzing or just deep studying. You see, now when we have to do analysis, we should have the following steps or processes. We need to know about the current system. If there was an existing system that was being used, we need to understand what is the problem of that system and what should be improved. So the next step, after identifying the problems of the existing system, we should come to know what are the improvements, what shall we do to improve. Then after that we come to get the requirements, and here we are talking about requirements determination. So this is basically one of the very important process in analysis phase. When we're saying requirements, what do we understand? Requirements on the basis of systems analysis, we mean these are functionalities or characteristics that the system should have, or the system that have. And requirements are not just one requirement, they are in different categories or different types. We have basically 5 types of requirements. We have system requirements, we have functional requirements, we have business requirements, we have non-functional requirements, then we have user requirements. Okay, starting one after another. When we are talking about business requirements, these are the requirements that describe the business needs. What the business should be supported by the system. So let's say when our business needs a good customer service, so we use the system to increase customer service. So that's the business need. And when we talk about user requirements, we need what is the user need to do on the system. When the user uses the system, what should he or she do? Does it mean? And another requirement is functional requirements. When I'm saying functional requirements, these are the functionalities in which the system must do. And when we come to, what the system must do, like we have a system, the user must log in, the user must register so as to use the system. So that is functional requirements. All the system should or must do online transactions. And we come to another types of requirements, that is non-functional requirements. These are just characteristics. Let's say you have your system and you want it to be operated in Windows only, in Windows OS only, not in any other OS, or you want your system to be available 24/7 or 24/6. So that's all about. Or you want your system not to be not shown on tablets, you want it to be used on computers only. That's those characteristics. And we have the final type of requirements, that is system requirement. System requirements is show how the system should be built. Okay, now after knowing that, the next part we'll talk about how we can determine these requirements, what techniques should be used, and so on and so on. And in detail here in analysis is a very good part, and this is a very important part more than all. So what's a very important part in system analysis and design phases? This is called analysis, and the main deliverable here is called system proposal. So you should know these important things. Requirements and citation techniques. We have several techniques that will help us to determine or to get our requirements, as I told you before. And so the first technique is called interview. The second is called questionnaire. The third is called joint application. The third one is called document analysis. The fourth one is called observation. So these are techniques. All can be used depending on what requirements do you want, or how do you want to get a requirement. It depends. You can choose either or one among them by considering the type of information you want, the depth of information, the breadth, or how wide do you want to get. How wide do you want to get the information? Some costs. User involvement. Do you want the user to be involved when you're correcting or when you're determining your requirements? Or do you want to integrate two techniques? So these are basic things you have to know before you select any technique, which I'm going to explain here. When I'm talking about, okay, I'll start to explain about those techniques. We have interview. This is a very useful one, and it's used by a lot of project team. Interview involves asking direct question between, let's say, you as a project team or interview. You ask a respondent, and he gives you the requirements that you want. This is very useful because it saves time, it has more advantages, it doesn't incur a lot of costs, and it's just a very useful one. And as that is a questionnaire, there are some steps of conducting that interview. I hope you will pass across them. You can understand that we have selecting interview, designing interview questions, preparing for the interview, conducting the interview, post-interview follow-up, post-interview follow-up. And when we come to, you will pass about those steps. We have structured and an unstructured interview. Here we just structure the question before we go there. I mean, when we are talking about structured interview, we just structure each and everything. We write first. We write down, then when we go there to do interview, we just ask. But unstructured, we just answer the question, not systematical. And how to categorize, I think we come to joint application development. This involves, it's like a meeting, you and your users, you ask questions, they say, and each end user try to contribute something, some ideas, and then you got the requirements. This can reduce the scope script by 50% because users are the ones who give out the requirements, and then you listen. It involves selecting participants, and it has some steps that you have to pass them through. As a questionnaire, this involves setting written questions. In the interview, we ask is a variable, but here you have to set written document or written questions, and then you send it to the different users through email or through WhatsApp. This is very useful if you want to cover a large area. It has some steps, you will follow them, just come past the notes. And document analysis. This involves the analysis, the system, the project team to pass through different reports of the people or organizations that did the same project, so as they can get the requirements and pass through different articles that have been written for the same system. We have observations. This involves you as the analyst, you go there actually to see how the current system operates, how the current system is running. Then you determine the requirements, but it still has some difficulties or problems that the people who are just working there will tend to do it properly. So that's the one of the biggest problem facing this observation. After knowing this, I've already said appropriate techniques, how this type of information you need to know requirements and